Hi book friends, I'm Erin, and this is Erin Go Read. Welcome to my first Vlogmas vlog. It's already the 4th of December, but I have had a bit of a time just catching up with things. My husband was discharged from the hospital on the 1st. I had intended on having a vlog up of like the last 2 weeks basically, and then that's just not gonna happen. Maybe I'll be able to do some sort of like compilation of footage talking about the books that we were reading during that time and updates about his health while it was going on. But anyhow, Sam just spent another week in the hospital after spending the first 3 weeks of November in the hospital. So he was in the hospital all but 1 week in November. So yeah, so that was a lot, but he is doing much better. And it's kind of a cool thing is that I think that the reason that he kept getting sepsis has now been discovered. And during this last hospitalization, which actually wasn't for an infection, a piece of shrapnel worked its way out, and hopefully that was the source. So that's really good news actually that came out, and there's no complications from that. It's healing really, really well. So after 12 and a half years, or after over 12 years, a piece of shrapnel came out. So that was really awesome. If you don't know, my husband was hit by a roadside bomb in Iraq. He does have a lot of shrapnel in him. And typically the stuff that's really embedded, they leave in. The body will kind of encase it and just kind of wall it off. Normally it doesn't cause a problem. It's fine. It would be much worse. It would cause much more of a problem to actually go in and try to remove it all. But this piece must have just gotten infected, and then it just kept like working its way out, and it came out of like his left side. So anyway, the reason that he was in the hospital this last time was because he started bleeding from his trach. So he has like a breathing tube kind of trach there's like a hole in his neck with a device that goes in there, essentially a tube. He had some extra tissue that had grown on the inside just at the edge of that trach tube, and that was pushing the whole trach forward, and it caused some bleeding right here, kind of below the device, and so he was bleeding profusely from his trach. So that's not a good thing. So he went to the emergency room. They took him to trauma. They were talking about possibly taking him to the OR. All sorts of there's plans A, B, C, and D were happening. They ended up putting him in the ICU. They didn't end up having to do surgery, and then he was set to be released like 2 days later, and then he started coughing up blood. And so from the amount of trauma that had gone in, and they changed some trachs out and stuff like that. I won't go into it, but there had basically been trauma to the inside from the measures they had taken, and then they had restarted his blood thinners, and that caused him to bleed more now from the inside where originally it had been from the outside. So it was a bit of an eventful hospitalization, lots of blood and shrapnel. So exciting times. He and I have been reading Wildwood by Colin Meloy. It is a middle grade fantasy adventure book, and we are having good fun with that one. We didn't actually have that one during the last hospitalization, and so he read Born a Crime with me by Trevor Noah, and that was really great. And then he was reading a bit of The Starless Sea with me as well. Sorry, I don't have the beautiful dust jacket on it because I don't read with dust jackets on. So yeah, so today I have been, I normally have the kids, today's Wednesday. Normally I have the kids on Wednesday, my nieces and nephew, but I guess my sister's sick. So my sister has strep throat, so she must have stayed home and stayed with the kids. So I ended up just kind of spending the day kind of cleaning, getting my house in order, put up my Christmas tree. I got a new vacuum cleaner and it's so exciting. It's like, I was like geeking out about my new Dyson. So I got a Dyson Animal vacuum. You know what a vacuum is. So on Black Friday, I was looking for one because my mom has a Dyson and I loved it. It was so lightweight, and I was helping my mom recently, and I used her Dyson and I loved it. So on Black Friday, I checked it out and I ended up finding a refurbished, it's like the Dyson Animal Ball one, and it was refurbished and it was Black Friday. So I think I got it for $280, and new that vacuum I think is like $600 or something. So that was a really great deal, and I just got to use it today for the first time. I was oddly happy to be vacuuming today. And then have been struggling with technology all day too. Part of that technology struggle had to do with getting up a bullet journal tour video up. So if you're interested in bullet journal stuff, look ahead for that. And then reading wise, so far today, the only thing I've read is a bit of Barchester Towers. And I just love spending time with Mr. Hardy. And there's just such a he said, she said, no one understands each other, back and forth stuff going on in the lives of these folks. And then I also have Just Mercy by Bryan Stevenson. Olive at a Book Olive is calling this the Booktube Common Read. And so many people are joining together to read this very important nonfiction book. And I started it last night, and I think I read just like the introduction in the first chapter. Yeah, so I'm on page 35 of this, and I was instantly sucked into this. And then, as I mentioned, I am reading The Starless Sea as well, so this is the book that I could very easily just dive myself into and not touch anything else. Sorry, you just did a somersault off the couch. Are you okay? Anyhow, so these books are books that I want to get to more quickly. I want to finish Barchester Towers because I started it in October. And Just Mercy is, I would like to be able to join the Goodreads group, but I'm behind. So, because I think we're supposed to be reading like 2 chapters a day, and I'm only on the 2nd chapter, and it's the 4th. So anyhow, that's what's going on with me. And now that my husband is back home and things are settled, I'm feeling my Christmas tree is up. I'm feeling a little bit more like getting into the Christmas spirit. So I think I'm gonna watch another Vlogmas video and then get back to some reading. So I've just read 2 more chapters in Just Mercy. I'm 67 pages in, and the chapters are alternating between the author Bryan Stevenson's life as he is a young lawyer and starting out as a civil rights lawyer. Walter Macmillan is a client that takes on. He is a death row inmate who was wrongly convicted of a crime that he did not commit. The chapter that I just read, chapter 3, was about his arrest and trial and just the absolute mockery that it made of the justice system. And I just feel like so angry, I guess. I feel so hopeless for Walter in the circumstances that he's in and being just completely railroaded by this the justice system in southern Alabama. Basically, they need someone to pin this murder on, a murder of a white woman, and this guy's here. He will do, even though there are dozens of people that can corroborate his alibi were there with him at the time of the murder. It's just infuriating. So I'm really hoping that, I believe at some point that Bryan Stevenson, gets Walter off. That's not gonna do anything for the time that he ends up spending in on death row. But I can see why such a big deal was made about this book and about this being an important read, because it's something that a lot of us are privileged enough not to know the reality of this, and it's not something that we should just turn a blind eye at, as difficult as it can be to read something of someone being used just as a pawn in their life, not meaning anything. It's hard to read, but it's important to read. And also, there's just the style that Bryan writes in is really easy to read, particularly the points where he's telling his own story rather than Walter's story. Because it's a bit lighter, even though a pretty heavy thing had just happened to him in his last chapter. But anyway, so this is a really great book so far. I think I'm gonna go take a shower. I'm getting my hair cut tomorrow, so I'm gonna go use some clarifier on my hair, let that sit on for a while before I take a shower, and I think I will switch over to Barchester Towers and see if I can get a couple more chapters in this read. I'm just over halfway through this guy. So that's gonna wrap up my first Vlogmas video, so I can get this edited and posted. And I'm hoping that I'll be able to do every 2 to 3 days maybe, get a new vlog post up. Thanks for watching. See you around the tubes.